What if the loudest move of the Lakers' season isn't a blockbuster trade for a 7-footer or a dramatic reshuffle at the deadline, but a whisper that flips the whole map of the West? What if the next real pivot doesn't change the set plays on a whiteboard? It changes the center of gravity of the entire league. And what if the signal was hiding in plain sight this whole time? Between timelines, cap math, and one late career decision that could decide who owns May and June? You can feel the air getting heavier around this team. When a window compresses, every possession carries a little more weight. Every timeout becomes a stress test, and clarity matters more than comfort. That's the neighborhood the Lakers live in right now. A veteran core that can still punch with anybody. A front office that built optionality on purpose. And a season that will be judged by what happens after the first week of May, not by how December felt. Here's what we're going to unpack together tonight, without giving away the headline yet. How a single decision at the very top can reshape rotations all the way down. The difference between good team noise and title team habits. Why certain archetypes age perfectly next to star gravity. The calendar pockets when big choices actually happen. And how money, health, and locker room wiring either greenlight or kill the boldest ideas. No leaks, no fan fiction, just basketball sense and organizational logic. Before we dive deeper, welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. If you live and breathe purple and gold, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and drop a like so this breakdown gets to more Laker fans before the conversation moves without them. We don't chase smoke here. We try to read the fire code. Start with the identity. At their best, the Lakers grind games into a math problem you can solve. Rim pressure that forces rotations. Free throws that steady the floor, late game sets that get clean looks for your best players. And a defense that survives the shot-making runs by organizing early at the nail and finishing possessions on the glass. That picture isn't about being pretty. It's about being repeatable, not for 1 week. For 2 months. Now the friction points we all know too well. The middle 8 minutes around halftime where focus drifts. The turnover texture that turns live balls into 4-point swings. The third option possessions where structure gets fuzzy. And the closing minutes where the quality of the shot diet decides everything. Those are margins. Margins are where championships hide. And margins are why front offices keep doors cracked open even when the roster feels good. Timing is the secret sauce. You don't swing blind in October, and you don't rip out foundations in March. The NBA gives you lanes, eligibility windows. The soft runway before the deadline, the all-star pocket where you can rewire habits without burning gains. Smart teams decide who they want to be by those markers, and then let the season confirm or deny the plan. That's not code, it's professional. History says the moves that actually shift the playoff. Path look boring on a news ticker. Cleaner late clock decisions. One more organizer who doesn't panic. A defender who takes responsibility for the first step. A second unit that stops bleeding. Television screens for headliners. Trophies are won by people who fix the 4 possessions per night that cost you a series. Keep that in mind as we turn this corner. There's also the human truth. Superstars don't need slogans. They need coherence. Veterans want to trust the math. Younger guys need a lane that doesn't ask them to play out of character. When a front office hits alignment on voice, scheme, and personnel, everybody's job looks easier. When it doesn't, you feel it in the middle of the week against non-contenders. And it shows up again when the lights get hot. Add in the money. Every franchise talks culture. Every contender also has a spreadsheet that decides how brave they can be. Expiring contracts, flexible deals, options, these aren't trivia. They're the levers that let you act when opportunity knocks. And opportunity never arrives gift-wrapped. It shows up as a rumor that sounds too loud to be true until one day. It isn't. So what is the rumor that's too loud to ignore right now? The one that has executives and agents checking each other's temperature and fans, refreshing timelines like it's a playoff fourth quarter? Here's the reveal, exactly where we promised it would be. The storyline making the rounds in league. conversations is that Dallas has become an aggressive, real landing pad for LeBron James, and yes, in some corners it's being shouted as confirmed. That word is doing heavy lifting. There's no official move, no sign anything, no press release. What exists is an active exploration, a door that could open if the health, the math, and the personal green lights line up. And a very real debate in Los Angeles about how you handle the next chapter of a legend while honoring the urgency of the badge on the front. Let's talk about why this idea has traction beyond internet noise. First, the basketball fit on paper LeBron next to a ball-dominant star who bends geometry and a second creator who can toggle between on-ball and off-ball looks like instant offense in any era. He remains one of the best advantage translators alive. He turns defensive mistakes into layups and open threes with 2 dribbles and a pass. On a team that hunts matchups for a living, his processing speed is oxygen. That's the draw for any suitor. That's also why Los Angeles has been so careful with every decision that touches him. Now the other half. What it means for the Lakers if that door opened. Replace hope with structure. You don't manufacture another LeBron. You redistribute responsibilities. The offense gets steered even more around force at the rim, quick-hitting actions that don't die in the mid-clock, and a shot diet that remains playoff sharp. The defense leans harder into first action denial and backline organization. You need an organizer in the guard room who values the ball like a paycheck and a wing who can take the first. Stamp on elite scores without sending the entire shell into chaos. None of that is fantasy. It's a path. It's just a different path than the one we've lived. The calendar mechanics would be everything. This isn't a Tuesday night transaction. Any step toward Dallas will be built on multiple layers. Personal priorities, family geography, a comfort level with how a new room would run, and a Lakers plan that preserves competitiveness rather than surrendering it. If you're looking for signs, you watch messaging, minute patterns, who closes, the clarity of late-game play calls, and how the front office sets its public tone. If you're looking for a press conference, you'll wait. That's not how big decisions move. Financially, everyone thinks they know the numbers. The truth is the only numbers that matter are the ones both organizations can live with while staying competitive. Hard cap traps, apron penalties, base year quirks, those exist. But contenders solve math when they believe the basketball is worth it. The Lakers line internally has been consistent for years. Be brave, not reckless. The difference is the future you keep for yourself when the dust settles. From a locker room standpoint, you don't replace a presence like this with a speech. You replace it with clarity. Who's the first option in crunch time? Who organizes when the sets break? Who talks the defense through the storm when a hot hand starts dancing on your weak side? Veterans need to know those answers before you ask them to play. 32 minutes in February like it's May. Young guys need to feel that their role isn't a moving target. Good organizations set those expectations and then go to work. Let's zoom in on the on-court math again, because that's why we love this. If the rumor becomes reality, Dallas gets a decision-maker who can break their worst habits and amplify their best ones. You will slow it when the game begs for breath, push when he sees a seam, and live at the rim enough to make the middle of the floor honest. You won't have to carry 48 minutes. He will have to carry the moments that matter. The question for Los Angeles becomes different. How do you replace the decisions, not the dunks? That's solvable if you own an identity and shop for pieces that fit it like a glove. There's also the human layer nobody should pretend doesn't matter. A move like this, if it ever crossed from rumor to ink, would not be a betrayal of a city or a team. It would be a late career choice by one of the greatest ever, filtered through family, legacy, and a read on the road ahead. The Lakers have always treated great players like partners. Partners talk plainly. Partners also do what they believe they must. That mutual respect is why this is a conversation and not a circus dot. So, where do we, as Laker fans, stand in a world where this could happen? We stand where we always stand, with the badge. If continuity wins the room, you squeeze the margins, reinforce the roster, and go hunt. If a change is the path, you protect the organization's future, keep a hard identity, and refuse to drift. Either way, the standard doesn't change. It's banners or it's lessons that make banners. What would the practical next steps look like on our side if the league's loudest rumor actually took a step forward? First, you stabilize your offense with a point-of-attack adult who treats the ball like medicine and the clock like a friend. Second, you add a wing who can toggle assignments without asking for touches. Third, you shorten the rotation by one name and lengthen it by trust 8.5 real playoff players, not 12 regular season experiments. That's not daring. That's discipline. And if nothing happens, if this stays a fever dream that the internet will forget by next week, good. That means the plan in El Segundo is working. It means the film is cleaner, the late game is calmer, the fouls are smarter, and the identity is harder to knock off its spot. The best counter to noise is winning the right way, on schedule, against the teams that matter. Fans feel that. The locker room breathes it. I also want to say this clearly for the folks who just want the bottom line. There is a universe where this rumor becomes reality. And there is a universe where it was leverage and nothing more. Our job as a community is not to grab pitchforks or throw parades based on shadows. Our job is to see the team for what it is, to demand excellence, and to stay smart enough to recognize a real pivot when it's in front of us. Your turn. If that door ever did open, would you authorize the move, knowing what it means for identity, for minutes, for the future? Or would you lock in on continuity, add the precise role pieces at the deadline, and trust that the habits we've built are enough to punch through? Drop your blueprint in the comments, not just your feeling. Who are your 2 targets if you choose the continuity path? What would you prioritize first week after All-Star if you don't touch the top of the roster? This is a smart fan base prove it. My personal opinion. And remember, this is speculation. If the choice ever becomes real and the internal read is that the new path lifts the ceiling immediately without emptying tomorrow, you listen with respect and you act with courage. If not, you keep the foundation. You clean the 4 possessions a night that have cost us games, and you ride. It's a rumor today, not a reality. Our standard remains the same either way.